In lesson 45 today, we are going to be classifying quadrilaterals. Can somebody tell me what a quadrilateral is?
Are we going to classify
Grace.
triangles?
We did. Didn't we?
Yeah.
With angles? We did angles and sides. Yeah, we did that. Four sides. Good. What does quad? That's a prefix. Quad means how many? Four. Right. Okay. So quad means four. Quadrilaterals all have four sides. They don't really have to be any certain way until you start classifying them as something. Okay. Other than that, they come from many different shapes. So you have parallelograms, which are kind of like a slanted rectangle sometimes is the most common parallelogram, which is the yellow one that you see there. Trapezoids, that's the most common type of trapezoid that you see, kind of like the Pizza Hut symbol. And then you have trapeziums. So that's like a trapezoid. It's got four sides, but they just kind of go in different directions. There aren't really any that are exactly parallel like a trapezoid has. Okay, so parallelograms. These are all the different types of parallelograms. What do you notice up there? What do you see? Yeah.
All the parallelograms have parallel sides.
All of the parallelograms have two sets of parallel sides. What else do you see up there, Colton?
They all have four sides.
They all have four sides. Good. What else do y'all see up there? Yeah.
Two L's in parallelogram make
Ooh, yeah, the two L's in parallelogram make parallel lines. That's how I always remember that it's got to have two sets of parallel lines. Lane, what else do you see? All quadrilaterals. And do you see any different looking parallelograms up there? Sayla. There's a rhombus. Good. What else? What are some of those shapes that we see up there? How else could we name them? Ainsley. Grace. Diamond. Okay, which is like a rhombus. What about the first one? A square. Good. A square is a parallelogram, but not all parallelograms can be a square. Have y'all heard those things before? They get a little confusing sometimes. Okay. A rectangle is a parallelogram, but not all parallelograms can be a rectangle. Why? Why cannot all parallelograms be a square or a rectangle? Yeah. Because squares and rectangles have to have right angles, right? They have to have four right angles. Not all parallelograms, that's not a requirement to be a parallelogram. If you notice the other three in the middle, not all of them have right angles. Okay. Let's look at trapezoids. Different types of trapezoids. The one that's most common, it's like a regular trapezoid, is probably the second one right here, where you have the two lines that are parallel and then the outside lines kind of kick out a little bit. That's the most common. There's nothing wrong with having a trapezoid. These two lines are still parallel, but this one goes out a little bit and this one goes out a lot further. Still a trapezoid. Also, we can have right angle trapezoids. The main thing you have to know about trapezoids is that a trapezoid has one set of parallel sides. So it can be your top and bottom, or if you turn it, it could be your two sides this way. As long as it has two parallel sides, it's considered a trapezoid when it is a four-sided quadrilateral figure. Okay? Any questions on trapezoids? Okay. A trapezium. What do you notice about these? None of them have parallel sides. What else? None of them have a right angle.
None of their lines are the same.
None of their...
The diamond does. Oh, yeah.
There's a kite. That one does. None of them have right angle. Avon.
Well, some of them look like trapezoids.
Some look like trapezoids. Okay, y'all are saying right here kind of looks like a right angle. I agree. So, could a trapezium have a right angle?
Yeah.
They could. Okay. Do all sides have to be different to be considered? No, does not. The main thing that you need to notice is that there are no parallel sides. Okay, that's what makes it a trapezium different from a trapezoid. A trapezoid has how many parallel sides? One set. Okay, so parallelograms, rhombuses kind of go along with parallelograms. A rhombus is sort of like a diamond shape, somebody said earlier. Okay, sometimes it's like a square that's been like squished a little bit, or it's turned a little bit. It doesn't maybe have perfect right angles like a square does. So if you tilt a square, if you turn a square slightly, it might look like a diamond, but it's got 4 right angles. A rhombus does not. Parallelogram does not have right angles. That's the main difference between parallelograms and rectangles. If you take a rectangle and you kind of like push it to the side, like it kind of like tilts a little bit. Now you got a parallelogram. Same thing with the square. You tilt it, and now you have a rhombus. Okay. Rhombuses are very similar to squares. Anybody know why? Yeah, Lane.
They're basically a square, they're just turned a different way.
So what makes it square-like?
It has all 4 right angles on a square. Oh, it has the line. They're all parallel like a square.
They're all parallel, and what is also special about a square?
A square sides are all the exact same.
Yes, and so are they rhombus. So the difference between a rhombus and a parallelogram is that a rhombus, all of the sides are the exact same length. There's just no right angles. Okay, same thing with squares. Squares have all the same lengths, but a square is a square because it has 4 right angles. Okay, are there any questions? Do y'all see the differences of what I'm talking about when I talk about angles and side lengths and things? Okay. All right, here's one example, and then you can get started. This figure is an example of a square. Which of the following could not be a square? This is what I was talking about earlier. A square can be a parallelogram, but a parallelogram cannot be a square. So what would you pick?
Trapezoid.
Okay, which of the following cannot be a square? So trapezoid for sure can never, ever, ever be in the same category as a square. Why?
Because a square has all parallel lines.
A square has 2 sets of parallel lines. A square can be categorized as a parallelogram. It could be categorized as a rectangle because a rectangle also has 2 sets of parallel sides, right? A rhombus is essentially a square. It's just squished a little bit. It doesn't have 4 right angles. But a trapezoid could not ever be a square because it does not have 2 sets of parallel sides. Okay, so you've got to think about the attributes of each one of these quadrilaterals. The examples are in your book, guys, so if you need to go back and look at them and just see them for yourself, they're all at the beginning of lesson 45. Your assignment today is going to start on page 310. Oh, I have to look. I don't have them on here. Okay.